Hello and welcome to my first video of this channel. Here we are going to be looking at some mapping scenarios, as you can probably tell from the name, but the whole point of this is mapping out certain scenarios. So today we're going to be looking at a scenario where the Middle East gets thrown into all-out war. So yeah, basically, there is going to be a limit on the area because this is supposed to be Middle East, not world. So this, oh god, is the maximum area that it can go to, just to circle around the Middle East. The core area of the Middle East is like all of these countries. But I am going to be making it a bit bigger just so we can add in some more countries. Now let's get started, and there are a few ways this could start. We could have Iraq and Kuwait, Israel and Palestine, like Syria, Turkey, Iran, Turkey, Azerbaijan, Armenia. We could have Saudi Arabia, Iran, something with Yemen, something with Syria and their civil war. But just for this scenario, we are going to be having Turkey declaring war on Syria. Now this starts a huge thing, but not yet, because for now Turkey's going to have a field day and a really easy time pushing into northern Syria. Now I know there are rebellions here, they're in a huge mess. If you didn't know, in Syria, huge mess. But for now we can assume the Turkish army would overwhelm any rebel forces. But now Syria, they have an ally, and that ally is an enemy of Turkey's. So Iran joins in against Turkey and on the side of Syria. With this, they also call in Lebanon, Armenia, and Turkey gets Azerbaijan to join in on their side. Now that's going to have to be it for now. So we have Azerbaijan connecting to their exclave, and Turkish and Azerbaijani forces pushing out all of Armenia, along with pushing into northern Iran. But very quickly, Iranian forces arrive and begin to push back Turkey and Azerbaijan. Now, Turkey is able to hold a front line as they already had some troops on the Iranian border. But as for Azerbaijan, they are not the most powerful, and Turkey doesn't have time to resupply until Azerbaijan is cut off and Azerbaijan falls to Iran. With this, Armenia is almost completely liberated and a stalemate is set up, with very slight progress on either side. Over here in Syria, we are going to have some more stuff happening, and that is Iran calling in Iraq. And yeah, the Middle East is about to go to war now. So we have Saudi Arabia joining in against Iran. They call in their allies. Yemen breaks out into complete civil war. That involves the red and blue teams. Israel joins in against Iran, with Palestine joining in against Israel, and Jordan joining in on the side of Saudi Arabia. We have Greece and Cyprus joining against Turkey. Greece and Cyprus against Turkey. Georgia on the side of Turkey. And, should we get some more? Yeah, sure, let's get some more. Turkmenistan and Egypt. Turkmenistan would most likely stay neutral, so would Pakistan and Afghanistan. But Egypt. They have bad relations with Israel, but those are improving. They're not fans of Iran. And then there's Greece and land because... okay. Let's see here. I'm going to have to put them on the red team. But with Egypt joining the red team, we do have Sudan. A border skirmish happens over here, with Egyptian forces pushing into the Bir Tawil triangle area. And that sparks a war between the two. So now we have this. This is my Middle Eastern war. And let's go ahead and get it. So first things first, Saudi Arabian troops quickly push into Yemen. They are weak and in civil war, and this really isn't a challenge for the Saudi Arabian military. But just to make it a bit easier, Oman joins in as well, and they absolutely destroy Yemen. On the Egyptian-Sudanese border, Egypt begins a small push in, taking parts of their coast and all of their claims, although they do meet a stalemate very quickly. Meanwhile, Israel takes out Palestine, Lebanon, and southern Syria, helping out Turkey, while Turkey makes a landing on Cyprus and a stalemate with Greece, with no progress on either side. Over here in Georgia, Georgian and Turkish forces now push in, as Iran was not ready for Georgia to join in, and they're pushing in from the north, managing to encircle a large Iranian army, which is wiped out, and they are forced to flee into the Caspian Sea. Although Iran does not have the most powerful navy, they do manage to dock near Tehran, which is like right there. Meanwhile, though, now Iran is forced to retreat slightly as the red team's getting more and more divisions. So they decide to set up a front line along some of their mountains and on the coast. Now, if you didn't know, Iran has a lot of mountains over here. So they decide to abandon Iraq and Syria and set up that front line. Although up here in the north, there is no mountains. So Iran is forced to deploy a lot of divisions and manage to push back Turkey, to the point where Turkey cannot push them back again. Now, at this point, Greece is pushing back slightly, although once again a stalemate is held as Turkey is forced to send troops to Iran and can't handle the two-front war. Down here in Egypt, we now have Israel, of all countries, helping out Egypt in their war against Sudan. So now Egypt begins pushing down the Nile and down Sudan's coast. If you didn't know, basically, we have Africa, right? The African continent. And then right here in the middle, we have desert. So much desert. This is like unlivable. It's desert. But, so they have their coast, and they have a little something called the Nile River going down through the middle. And that is important because that is where a lot of the Sudanese population is, along with the coast. And once the coast falls and the Nile River falls, Sudan will most likely surrender. And speak of it, it happened. So now we have Egypt finishing, pushing into Sudan, but that isn't before South Sudan joins in for land and influence over Iran. Now this could spread out into like Ethiopia joining in on South Sudan's side, the East African Federation joining in, then Mozambique, Angola, South Africa, but this is already stretching it. This isn't the Middle East, not by a long shot, but why not add it in? So now South Sudan connects up with Egyptian and Israeli forces, and Sudan is forced into surrendering after losing all of their populated lands. So now Egypt, South Sudan, and Israel are sending their forces to the front lines, which speak of them. Couple months of fighting, hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of deaths, and that's all the movement that happened on the Iranian front. But for Greece, they aren't lucky enough to have their mountains on their border. Their mountains are like over here. So they lose Athens. An island hopping campaign gets Turkey all of these islands. Yeah, no, it's not the best map, but it's a pretty decent map, so I'm taking it. And Greece holds out in their mountainous area, but that isn't exactly their most populated or wealthy area. And Greece surrenders, leaving only Iran to fight against the entire red team. With this, the red team begins an operation to take their Caspian Sea axis and Tehran, which they do both successfully. And by this point, Iran is beginning to fall. The red team is beginning to encircle their mountains, and Saudi Arabia and some of these Arabian countries set up a naval landing on the Sudanese coast, capturing the entire thing. And at this point, Sudan isn't looking very hot. They are falling incredibly quickly. Their only hope is Russia, but in this scenario, Middle East. Russia is not the Middle East. I already included a lot more than the Middle East, so yeah. But at this point, Turkey has encircled the mountains, taken them, and continued to push into Iran to the point where Iran is starting to consider surrendering to the red team. And at this point, they've lost their coast, all access to the sea. Iran has surrendered. They might not have surrendered, but they break into rebellion and capitulate. That's probably more accurate. Now for the new borders. We have Egypt taking some land from Sudan. We have South Sudan gaining some land from Sudan. And we have Sudan being left alone besides that. They might have to take Eritrea though if they want to stay stable. Besides that, Jordan gains a tiny bit of southern Syria and a tiny bit of Iraq. Israel gains all of Lebanon and Palestine and some small parts of Syria. Turkey gains all of Cyprus and the panhandle of Greece, along with all of these islands. They gain almost all Greek islands. Actually, they might annex it, but these are Turkish people, these are Greek people. I don't think that would work very well. It's modern day here. The rest of Syria goes to Turkey, and Iraq is split down the middle between Turkey and Saudi Arabia. Turkey also takes a massive chunk of northern Iran, whilst Saudi Arabia takes a massive amount of the coast. By the way, if you hadn't noticed already, Kuwait opts to join Saudi Arabia, so now these two are just Arabia. Besides this, Oman and Saudi Arabia split Yemen and almost in half. Saudi Arabia gets some more, but it's close to being half-half. The UAE and Qatar and Bahrain, who, if I didn't say, joined the red team, get economic benefits, and I don't think they'd need more oil, but economic benefits from this war. And that's about it. Now we can turn everything white and see what the new Middle Eastern area could. By the way, I don't know if I've mentioned this already, but this is completely my opinion. This is not anything that I think might happen. This is just how I think if it did happen, this is how it would play out. And like I said, there are many ways this could happen. I just chose this Turkish-Syrian one. It's because I chose it. I don't know. There are many different scenarios you could choose, and I did this one. So now, like I said, Iran is a lot weaker. Turkey is incredibly strong now. They also might puppet. They would probably puppet Greece. If they can't annex it, they would probably just puppet it. And on that note, I know I could have added more people, but if we had begun to add more people, then Russia and the US would get involved, and then that's just World War III, not Middle Eastern War. At that point, once Russia and the US join in, China joins in, Europe joins in, and it's World War III. Which, by the way, is probably going to be my next video, so stay tuned, stay tuned. Alright, Israel gained a lot of northern land. I don't know if I like how that looks. So, Israel, could you go to war with Jordan pretty soon after this to fix the border war? Like, this is just, oh my god, that's horrible border. That is horrible, horrible. Okay, it's fine. Because Jordan just got some land too. They kept following the Jordan River and just took some land out of Syria and Iraq, who the red team wanted to completely make not exist anymore. They didn't want a Syria and Iraq or a Yemen to cause issues. And as for Iran, well, you can know what happened to Iran. They were given a puppet government. They weren't technically puppeted, but they were given a new government under Turkish and Saudi Arabian control, which may be also Egyptian and Israeli influence, but mostly Turkey and Saudi Arabia wanted to take control of whatever was left of Iran. Although they lost their oil, the mountains are now favoring their side, so if Turkey wanted to, they could just, boom, go up, take Tehran. Iran can't stand up to them anymore. So if I didn't mention, Turkey and Azerbaijan finally unite. That's why Azerbaijan didn't get any land, and Georgia just asked for their help and got full control of Abkhazia and South Ossetia, I think. I don't know how to say it. That's just how I say it, but I'm sure it's wrong. But they get full control of all of their land again, which makes Russia angry, but now with Georgia in this massive Middle Eastern, alliance, Russia can't do anything about it. They can threaten them, but Georgia's a NATO partner and part of a massive Middle Eastern alliance, so Russia would lose against that massive new lines. Now for the final question. How would this affect the rest of the world if this happened present day, pre-World War III, pre-anything? This would probably be right after coronavirus, so we would think that it would affect it very much. I think World War III is less likely, but this would most likely spark it if it did happen. Although maybe not, you never know. You can always keep your hopes up. Well, I'm pretty sure that's all. So I do hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.